I know it's a very funny time to be making videos, but I thought I've got to sit up for the next 2 hours because I'm awaiting a doctor who I'm having a little cancer scare, which is disturbing and slightly frightening. And yeah, I'm recovering from cancer anyway. I had cancer a few years ago, and so things which alarm, you call out. And I suppose one good thing is that if it sounds alarming enough, then the doctors come. And so I've been a little distracted in the last few days, and I hope that explains why. But there are some nasty people putting things up on the comments section, and I don't really know how to get rid of them. I don't really know how to stop this, because if I hide them from the channel, they come back, and I don't have the energy to make videos and to mess around with these stupid, immature individuals. There's a person called Field Grey who says, "I can't stand the Jews." Shocking. And a person called 234 Cheek who says Cruella and uses a four-letter word. She should be deported back to Pakistan, where, spelt wrongly, where the F her parents come from. Well, I don't care for Suella Braverman particularly. I've called her out almost from the beginning of her time as Home Secretary as a racist and as leading the leading the hunt against immigration and against people who are vulnerable, scapegoating these people. I've called her out for standing at the dispatch box and crying invader about Albanians. I've called her out for the way she's spoken to people from Pakistan and spoken about Pakistan. There is no excuse, and that someone is protected by the dispatch box and by parliamentary privilege is no reason to indulge in racism. And that is what she has done, racism and division. And I absolutely agree with the Financial Times that she has sparked a flame which has now resulted in the riots. I don't think she's the only person responsible. I think there are others. But I called out racism nearly 10 years ago in UKIP, and I did so because I thought Humza Yousaf was being attacked. I spoke to Humza at the time. He was, and he is still campaigning for better integration of migrants into Scotland, and maybe that's a reason why there aren't riots in Scotland, because there are people like Humza leading the way in integration. And in the same way, I absolutely abhor the sort of pincery jabbing of people like Mandy. I can't remember her second name. If she's I don't know what gender she is anyway, because I don't believe she is who she says she is. There are a number of people who go under pseudonyms here who are unbelievably and personally aggressive. She says that I have promoted hate for Suella Braverman. On the contrary, I have not. I have ridiculed Suella Braverman, and that's quite different. In the same way as I've ridiculed other members of the last Conservative Party, and I will, if I live, I will ridicule members of the Labour Party. I have no I have no worries about doing that. People who get bewitched and overwhelmed by their accession to power, by people need to be pulled down and they need to recognize that the power is there because they've been elected. And Suella Braverman and her minions have lorded it over us, and they have caused serious problems in our society. They've cost us a lot of money with their hotel accommodation, and it all starts with Theresa May and the hostile environment. And yes, I've called out Theresa May, I've called out Andrea Leadsom, I've called out Nadine Dorries, because these are people who had power to do something and they didn't. Instead, they played their own power games to get to the top of the greasy pole, no more so than Liz Truss. James Cleverly is showing that he's in the same mould, and so is Robert Jenrick. But Robert Jenrick, in contrast to all these others, is at least showing remorse for taking down the cartoon in the detention centre. That, I think, is a positive, is it not? That needs to be praised. And we need to recognise there are red lines. And there's only two things we can do. Well, there's three things we can do. There's only two things I can do, I think. The three things we can do is we can report about it. We can discuss it. I don't think I'm terribly good at that. I go through the motions. But we can ridicule it. I think I'm quite good at that. And we can vote. Actually, we can also write to people in power and demand a response as the people who elected them. But that is the limit of our power. And meanwhile, we watch people drunk with power, or we've watched people drunk with power, and it will happen again with the Labour Party. And so much of the stuff that the Conservative Party in the Home Office took over had been set up for them by the last Labour administration. It's just the screw has been turned. And at the same time, we've seen people like Baroness Moan raking in cash over the vulnerability of individuals who needed help, making themselves rich at the expense of ordinary people who needed help. So yes, I think ridicule and I think satire is the right thing to do. And as I say, I'm sorry that I'm a little distracted. I've done what I can now. I've called out these people on the site. I don't think I can find their posts, and even if I do, and I try and hide them from the channel, they come up again, and they keep popping up. YouTube doesn't give the YouTuber like me a lot of tools to control this. They do what we can. But as I say, I'm a little distracted at the moment. I shall do a few more videos now as I await the doctor, and then whether or not I do videos tomorrow morning will depend on how I am and what the prognosis is and what's going to happen next. But I will keep you informed. I think it's an important issue in itself, irrespective of the fact that it's happening to me. And I don't think it was greatly helped by by discovering that my mobile phone had been hacked, and the anxiety that comes with that, and the anxiety generally that comes with, feeling manipulated. It's gone on for so long. And it began in the aftermath of my being on the circle, and it just feels like some sort of pressure all the time. And we have to deal with that, or you have to deal with that. I'm speaking in the Leeds International something or other festival in October about reality TV, and I think I'm doing it with Rylan and somebody else. What's her name? Carol Vorderman. And I've done some writing for Carol, so I don't think we actually know each other, but we know of each other. So it will be a very entertaining meeting. Rylan and I have met before, but it would be good to get that in place. And meanwhile, I've got little films and bits and pieces that I'm working on, and students that I am committed to. So yeah, I'm going to make another video.